Hey, what's up guys? It's Master Beetle here, and I know I promised you that Mordred deck profile. Finally got down to it, was doing testing. Honestly, I've never played Mordred before I started picking up shadows, of course. I never played Mordred before. The first thing I did was playtest Claret, playtest Claret, playtest Claret. And I never really gave Mordred love because I didn't really like it. I never really thought it was a good deck personally. But I started working on it. It took a little bit longer than Claret for me to realize how to play it. But in all honesty, I just had to really go back to basics of the deck. This is what I have, and this is my list. Of course, you don't have to play what I play. This is just me showing you my list. Run 8 crit, 4 draw, and 4 heal. Reason you're running the draw PGs in this list is because number one, you don't have room for the grade 1 PGs, and number two, you need the draw PGs in this deck because you're trying to draw into key pieces at certain times in the game, like turn one, like from turn 2 forwards. You need to see certain pieces following up, like your darks, your Mordreds, your phantoms, all that good shit. So yeah, first off, grade 1. This is the grade 1 you always want to be riding, first or second. He searches, she actually, it's a she. Bronwyn searches out your grade 3s, helps you get to your lunges, helps you get to your phantoms, whatever you need. Runner at 4, good rear guard, good vanguard. Next, we're running 4 of the grade 1 Masquerade. Grade 1 Masquerade is clutch. I noticed some people in their builds have been cutting them. I love this guy at 4 though, because he allows me extra marker generation, and that's exactly what I do with him. I don't have a dark engrave. That's cool. I'm going to call him on top of the dark and then recall the dark and get an extra force marker. He just really helps with setting up your kill turns, or if you heal a dark and it's in the grave, it's just basically free for you to get that marker. And for our last grade 1, we're not using the main engine, we're using something else that's a little bit quicker of a cycle. Claudus. The Claudus and Doron package. Now the reason I'm running the Claudus and Doron package is because Claudus by himself is a CB1, put him into soul, draw 1. But when you call Doron and you have a Claudus on rear guard, it's a CB1, Soul Blast 1. He gets 10k, but if you have the Claudus, you get the draw card. And if Doran's on rear guard, when you put him into soul, you get the counter charge. So basically, it's just soul charge him for a draw, and then counter blast 1, soul blast 1 for another draw. It's basically the easiest filtering of this deck to try and get into your pieces. Like I said, this deck's a little bit more piece reliant than Claret Sword, but that's fine. This deck can search for his pieces. This is just your last ditch effort to try and get into them. So this is why I run them at 4. I've tried different avenues. I did try the main engine. I know that's the first thing y'all gonna say. Where's the main at? My personal opinion, I've tried the main. I don't like it. That's my personal opinion on it. I don't like it. I don't feel like it fits the deck. Claudus, surprising, right? Claudus and Doron, the thing that Mordred got supported with, actually fits the deck more than the main engine. But you can run the main engine. This is just what's been personally working out for me. So yeah, that's why I run it. I did try Javelin and Morian Spear. Morian Spear never worked out for me because I never wanted to discard anything because I wanted to keep everything in my head. Like I said, this deck's very piece reliant. I wanted to keep it in my hand to combo off with it, like your darks, your phantom grade 2s, all that good stuff. So yeah, for Doron, like I said, he's a 10k rear guard and a draw if you have Claudus, and if you don't have Claudus, he's just a 10k rear guard. Really good. So I'm running at 4. And then you're running 4 of your Masquerade. This is your ride target of the deck. Usually what I like to do is, which is a good thing about not running the main engine, because this kind of conflicts with the main engine when you search, is I like to ride this, search a 3, discard whatever that I don't need in hand, and then ride this, search, but I don't have to pop anything because I don't have anything on board. So that's why I usually, more often than not, love riding a Masquerade. Even if I do have the dark in hand, I prefer to just save the dark for, save the dark to create a marker later on my grade 3 turns. That's usually my philosophy with it. I know some people like the twin drive, but like I said, most of the time, I don't want to pitch cards from my hand, man. More often than not, I just want to keep those cards to combo off with them. And for the grade 3s, you're running 4 Mordred. He's the namesake of the deck. You gotta run him at 4. He's your ride target almost always. You want to ride him first, even if you are going first. And I know his ability requires your opponent to be on grade 3 to restand the darks, but that's honestly just icing on the cake. If you're going first, you always want to ride this, because just generating those force markers early is key. Because if you, most of the time, this deck wants to go first, because it's turn 3 setup, push him to 3 or 4 damage, and then turn 4 kill. How do you kill him on turn 4? Your boy Danger Lunge. You run Danger Lunge at 4 because this is your win condition of the deck, not dark. Dark is nice. Double dark is really nice. The thing is, this deck don't create much hand, because the hand that you do create is just your pieces, and you're just calling those pieces to board, like your darks, your Masquerades, your Mordreds, because you're going to ride those. So you're running Danger Lunge at 4 because you want to see it. He's one of those pieces that you can't really search outside of Bronwyn, but that's just one card. So that's why you run at 4, because you want to see it. You can ride it. Most of the time, I don't ride this unless I have another one. Or if you're going first and you don't have Mordred in hand, you ride this. But going second and riding this, I just feel like it's kind of like an auto lose, because it kind of puts you so behind that you just kind of have to have everything on your turn 4, or you just lose. At least in my opinion. And then I run 1 Onyx Dragon. I run Onyx Dragon at 1 because I did have the extra slot, since I am running everything else at 4, and I'm like, run Onyx because I could search it off of Bronwyn. And this is essentially a 5th Blaster Dark in the deck, so I'm just running the 1 Onyx as a consistency booster, and he is an actual booster. So yeah, that's why I run the Onyx at 1. And I notice a lot of people aren't playing Danger Lunge at 4 anymore, and they're more focused their deck around having 2 restanding Blaster Darks. And while that is nice, having 2 restanding Blaster Darks doesn't guarantee you the game, depending on the damage. Like, I have some of my teammates, they like to guard early so they don't have to take these hits late in the game. So they'll just eat those hits. Or if they have a perfect guard, they could just perfect guard those large numbers that Dark has. With Danger Lunge though, Danger Lunge says, if I have a grade 3 in Soul and 3 force markers, you have to hard guard this attack. Because most of the time they're going to be at 3 or 4 damage, they don't want to eat this. So that's why I built the deck the way I did, because my win condition is lunging my opponent to death. So the board that you want to create is pretty simple actually on your turn 4. You want to be on Mordred. You also want to have another grade 3 in Soul. Have a dark. And honestly, this is all you need. You're gonna put with force marker placement, I always put the first one behind my Vanguard, and then I just spread them out from there. So if this is all the markers you could generate, commit a booster. Well, commit a booster if you have a booster, but most of the time I don't, because eight of my boosters go away into the Soul, and most of the time I'm riding Bronwyn, so most of the time I find myself without a booster. But if it's the kill turn, call a trigger, it doesn't matter. But usually this is the setup you have. I have 3 markers right here, 2 right here, maybe 1 or 2 right here on the Vanguard. And then obviously you go swing, swing. You want this attack or this attack to take them to 4, or if they're already at 4, just try and get them for game. And then lunge, and then you attack last of lunge most of the time. You attack Last of Lunge, and then that's usually what's supposed to win you the game. If you did check which is really crucial, this is why you run 8 crit. If you check the crit and you put it on the dark, then you can also just pressure again with the dark if they're at 4. So yeah, that's that's basically the winning combo on turn 4 that this deck wants to do. Like I said, because this deck, like, most of the time can't win on turn 3 unless, like, you just create a boatload of markers and you win second. And you just kind of have to win that turn or your opponent's just going to steamroll you on their 4th turn. This deck really has to go first because it sets up on turn 4 for that turn 4 kill. And it doesn't really generate, it has a regular hand. It doesn't really generate that much hand. So if you get rushed, you just kind of get rushed and not particularly lose, but you know what I mean. This deck has to set up on turn 4. That's basically what I'm saying, for the most part. But yeah, Mordred is still a solid deck in my opinion, or at least this version of the deck. I'd put it in low tier 2. I put it below Claret, just because Claret creates is way faster and creates way more pressure than Mordred, which is key in this metagame since we are still in a fast-paced metagame. Like, even with Dragon's Vanity, the game still ends on turn 3 and turn 4. I wouldn't exactly call it slower paced, because since the tier 1 decks are still Excel decks, even though Excel decks did get hit in the latest restriction list, it basically didn't matter because the top dogs are still Excel from Dragon's Vanity. So that's why I think Claret is better than Mordred. Mordred is still good. Mordred is a solid tier 2 deck. Claret's just better because you could ride Claret on turn 3, and because it has Force 2, just pressure for game on turn 3. So yeah, that is my Mordred deck profile, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe down below. Tell me what you think about it. And I know I'm not running it the way everyone else is. Everyone's more focused on plussing and drawing cards and filtering their deck. I created it in like an opposite manner where I'm more focused on just trying to win the game and not trying to out attrition my opponent or try to advantage them, especially since Narukami can just rip cards out of your hand. But yeah, that's the way I built it. And comment down below what you think about it, how it's different from your build. Just don't say it's bad because I'm not running the main or I'm not running insert card here. Tell me why, you know, so we can have a discussion about it. All right, guys, later.